Hello, everyone. Welcome to CLS for PSTAT 109. Today, we're going to go over an example of calculating the five-number summary. So what is the five-number summary? It is exactly what the title implies. It's five numbers used to summarize a data set. And the five numbers specifically, we'll chop it into quarters. So let's start with identifying, well, what are these five numbers here? Five numbers in your five-number summary are going to be the minimum, the first quartile, the second quartile, which most of you know as the median, the third quartile, and then finally the maximum value. And again, the quartiles are points that separate your data into fourths, right? These are the quarters, so 25%, 50%, and 75% of the way from your ordered data. So for this example, what we have on the left here is a stem and leaf display. And data can be organized and summarized in lots of different formats. So you'll want to familiarize yourself from the textbook and your lecture notes. So this is a stem and leaf display. Typically, the numbers on the right side of the bar are the last digit of your data value, and the numbers on the left of the bar represent everything else. So if there's only one digit, then we have just the tens on the left and the ones on the right. And typically, there's going to be a key telling you how to read. So if I see a 3 on the left, a bar, a 4 on the right, then that's just the number 34. Right? And another important thing we want to be able to do is go through and count how many of these values we are. So when you see, for example, this particular row, I've got 3 digits on the right, 1 on the left. So the 1 on the left is identifying, well, these are the numbers in the tens. And then there are 3 numbers on the right that represent the ones digit. So a 10 and a 0 means that's the number 10. A 10 and a 4 means the number 14, and then so on, 15. Okay, so altogether here, if I count through, I've got here 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 values. And this is going to help me in identifying my formulas for finding these 3 quartiles. So the min and the max are these straightforward ones. Obviously, this is the smallest value in the data set. This is the largest value in the data set, and you can just tell from the organization that these are the biggest and smallest. Now, one thing on an exam you might want to be careful about is if the data is not already organized for you, you'll want to go through and order them from least to greatest, and that will help with the calculations. The median, I'm sure you're familiar with. We can use the formula for percentiles, or we can just do what we did probably in junior high, grade school, which is rank the numbers and take the ones right in the middle. And since I have an even number of data points, the value in the middle, I'm going to take the average of the 2 middle numbers. So if I have 16 values, then I want the average of the 8th and 9th numbers in this set. Okay, so if I go through and just count, the 8th number is 36. So here, this is 36. The 9th number is also 36. So that means my median is the average of the 2 36s, or just 36. So very simply, I can get 3 of the 5 numbers already from just organizing the data set and looking at it. Now for quartiles, these are particular percentiles, and we have a formula in 109 that we use, and that formula is going to give us this location here. So the location of the value we're looking for is the percentile written as a decimal, so we divide by 100 times our data set plus 1. Now again, this is not going to tell you the specific percentile you're looking for, just the location here. So let's go through and do the first quartile. So that's Q1. Now Q1 is the 25th percentile, so as a decimal, it's going to be 0.25, so it's 25 over 100. Our n, you see, is 16, so this is going to be 16 plus 1. If I do the math on that, that'll give me the location, which is 4.25. So what does that mean? That means I am 25% of the way between the fourth and the fifth numbers. Okay, so this is in between the fourth and the fifth number. So the location 4 would be the fourth number of my data set. So here, let me write location 4. That's going to be the number 15. And then location 5 is going to give me the number 25. And what this says is, this says I'm 0.25 of the way there, or a quarter of the way there. So one way to think about it is, if you think about a number line from 15 to 25 and chop this into quarters, then this here would be the location 4.25. So there's a formula I can use. I can do this logically, but let's just go through the formula, since that is the approach in your textbook. And so we know it's bigger than 15, but smaller than 25. So we're going to start with 15. So here's my Q1. It's going to be a little bit bigger than that. Well, how much bigger? 25% of the way towards the next number. And so the next number is 25. So what I want to find is that length between 15 and 25. So if I want to find the length or the distance, I subtract the two numbers. So what I'm saying here is, I start with 15 and I'm going a quarter of the length. So the 0.25 times the length. And so that will allow me to find my first quartile here as 17.5. And then very similarly, I can go through and do the third quartile, which is 75th percentile, so now 0.75. I still have the same formula, n plus 1. And I go through the location, and that tells me it is between the 12th and the 13th number, but this time 0.75 of that distance. So continuing on here, if I repeat the formula, so the 12th number of my data set is the number 49, and you can just go ahead and count on that stem and leaf display. And again, it's going to be a little bit bigger than 49. Well, how much bigger? It's going to be 75% of the length between the 12th number and the 13th number. Well, the 13th number is 50. The 12th number is 49, right? So that's the length. And then now I'm going to go 0.75 of that length. And that will take me to 49.75. So if I fill this in, finally my 5-number summary has the minimum as an 8. The Q1 we found is 17.5. The median 36. Q3 49.75. And then finally the max at 66. So that's the 5-number summary. And again, what it's telling me is these quarter cutoffs. So the 36 tells me, well, half of my data is bigger than 36, the other half is smaller. The 49.75 tells me, well, 25% of my data is larger than that value, and then 75% is smaller. So it just gives you these quarter distances between the entire data set, and it's a nice summary to look at. And that's it.